Oh man, we are back once again with a new delegation, a new topic, a new series. This is the double whammer twice in one day. We know we had the numbers, and you know when you have to apply the numbers, you've got to put the numbers upon a calendar. So, you know what? By further ado, I'm going to introduce the one and only, my brother Ausar. Introduce yourself, brother.
Iti emetap seni senet ankwasta jen uncle Johnson dua for listening. It's your brother Ausar Ka, the wind wet wob. I'm just a wob, that's all, you know. I'm just a pure priest.
So where have you been these days? Where have you been, man? We haven't seen you in such a long time.
Man, I had to write some books to correct a few things, and then of course we're dealing with the COVID-19 out here, and it's also allergy season. I'm over here with the sniffles. I'm about to get some tissue in a sec. But just breaking stuff down. Me and Saber Reggie been chopping it up. We put a video out not that long ago. A lot of people saw with me, the sister Heru, Rakedi Amin, and the Ma'ati Ra, and a few other people were doing a translation of the pep ritual, overthrowing the pep ritual. I added my tidbits to it recently, and just kind of sitting back right now, just letting things flow how they should, natural order. Quarter order.
Yeah,
you know.
I didn't get back to you about Egypt, man. How did that go?
Egypt was awesome. I ran into the first thing that happened is we hopped off the plane and touched down in Greece. I wanted to go see the Temple of Aset that's over there. It's one of the nice points of
cutting out.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to shoot over there, so I waited in the ranks inside the airport, and once I got over to Egypt after my 16-hour layover, we hopped off the plane. I started speaking to a brother, and I was like, "Yo, shoot me over to the spot." And so we traveling at nighttime. You know, I get there kind of in the nighttime, and so after I get past customs and all that, we go to a few different spots. And for those who haven't been to Egypt, remember they had just had a war at that time. This is last year, and because of that war, cats was in Gutras. They had the automatics, the machine gun, the Uzis, everything was out. So we had made a stop at the wrong place because he didn't quite know where the location was, and the guy who stopped us, he was like kind of gruff. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of gruff with the gent. So I was about to hop out and, see if I was going to meet my end at the moment of what. So that didn't happen. He hopped back and I said, take me go get a burner right now. So in case I got to get busy. And he was like, no, no, no. And then he explained, because I wasn't thinking, we just came out of war. And so then it clicked to me. But I got settled in the hotel, which was like, it has a nice view of the pyramids. I actually put it on my Facebook, a little video. And then if you go to my YouTube, the HKN, new word NTR, heck in the chair, praises of the divine, heck, praises of nature, you'll see video of me traveling through the city in places really where you can't go.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go. So, we did some horseback and some horse racing as well. Because I could ride the horse. Then I rode the camel. You'll see some of that. And just basic stuff going on now that you have Arab leadership in Egypt, which wasn't the case before 560 BC. So now that they're over there, they're in the mix. It's looking like little Las Vegas over there. They just need to rebuild that thing and let's get it going,
Okay, so give the people a bit of your background of what you do and what you're about in forms of your studying and how you got to where you are now.
I am what you would call a Ami Unut. You may hear it, or you may hear it as Ami Winwet, which is an hour watcher, which is basically your first form of astronomer. And so what I've done is studied, broken down different things, which is basically what you would call a priest now, I guess, and an astronomer all rolled into that. So being an amateur astronomer and being an hour watcher, I've become familiar with the ancient RAMETCH calendars because there's more than one. I'm just a wob. I call myself a pure priest. My protagonists and friends will tell you, no, he's deeper than that. But for me, knowing what they know and knowing what I know, I just feel like a wob. There's more things that I can improve on before I try to say, I'm a nab, which is a lord or a master of something. And that's what I do. I do that. I teach a lot of different things concerning the spirituality system. And I conduct my life in that manner. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. So, as we always seek our history and we try to find ways of seeking our history in forms of the pathway, and sometimes we have to reverse ourselves from ourselves to where we need to reach to. But the topic around roughly what we're talking about is about Egypt, because earlier on we was talking about the times of numerology and numbers and things like that. So now we want to reel the numbers right into the times of what the ancients were doing and what they were up to. So if you could give us an insight on the times of Egypt and what they were up to and what they were doing, just a little info before we start to dig into this calendar.
Absolutely. I would tell you that when you talk about more Greek things such as the zodiacs and what have you, they do it a bit differently. So numerology is a little bit different than what your ancestors did. Yeah. The RAMETCH dealt with the calendar, the year, and the breaking down of the different Netcharu that would run that particular habit's effect on the society at that time. Who was in control of things, what put them in control of those things. Those particular Netcharu, you'll find through some of our ancestors like Sinmut, who was Hatshepsut's boyfriend, probably husband, and Hatshepsut was a great queen. Before you get to him, You go back a little further to King Jair, and you have his when wet Wob, his Hour Watcher, which his name is, I want to say Hesse, if I'm not mistaken. I believe his name is Hesse, and I could be wrong, but we can always go dig it up. So when you're talking about those times, the King Jair, you're talking like close to six dynasty, you know. So dynastic periods, speaking of time, are the families. They're the families of the RAMETCH, and that's how they put together what they call the dynastic period for each pharaoh, each Nasu, Biti, etc., etc. This family married this family and such, and so forth and so on. And so that's what you get into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what have you got for us that's going to be so interesting and so delightful? Food for the mind, so we can feed our mind. As people, we're going to have a lot of people logging in the morning because sorry about the timing, because we were supposed to have it at 9 o'clock, but the of altercations that we're having it now. But you know, it's good that we can have it anytime and still can reel back. And please press the like button, share and subscribe. Call your friends out who are awake. Instead of partying, come and party with us.
Yeah, come take it with your people, man. You better not be outside with all this COVID around, man. It's crazy out here.
You can't be outside. At home. Come and listen to us, and we'll tell you about the calendar.
Absolutely.
So, let me just say, a tap to Melanated, a tap to Brother E, a tap to Balance 02112, Cosmic Thoughts,
B2, Cosmic Thoughts, EX, Melanated Goddess, Black Eyes, George Macon, Balance 0212. Who else is in here? That's it. That's in the chat right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it now and see what we can produce.
Absolutely. Let me stop this cam because I think it's kind of making everything shaky. So when we go back and we start talking about the calendar, there's a couple things that you should know. First, when you deal with time, we have the ancient text. I didn't even pull that out, right? The body of Newt. Let me pull out. I'm going to share this a little bit with them just so that they can kind of get an idea. I'm not going to share at first, though. First, I'm just going to kind of name a couple. No, let me share first. And we'll get into the other stuff later. Give me just a moment. Technical difficulties. Let me take out this USB port. I'm going to share a $5,000 book with you. Because most people, you're not going to spend that much money to get the book. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yes, family. Please share, like, and subscribe while we're waiting for the fantastic moment. But yeah.
And you know, cats ain't trying to spend no 5Gs on no information. That's that just doesn't happen nowadays. Everything is downloadable. We got the download portion for it. That'll cost you $2,000. Let me make sure this is the one. Make sure I got the right.
Someone says they hear a strong NY accent.
You know, I used to live on 144th and St. Nicholas. 144th, right in the Charmaine Gardens. In fact, my partner Loon got his record deal off of my record deal. And my partner Nitty currently is working with one of your favorites, Rick Ross.
Okay.
Nitty with Rick Ross, in case y'all don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me see what's going on with my USB because I want y'all to see the
One day,
text. Let me make things working
you
for
might
you.
have Rick Ross on there.
I had to change USB ports. There it goes. Let's go to can y'all see me in there? Yeah, y'all can see my screen. So this is the early deacons. This is a digital book that I put together of a $5,000 book. Egyptian astronomical text. A lot of people want this book. And what's in this first book, which is important, are let me get out of here real quick. Are the names of the deacons and also the transliteration and translation of how we put these things together, how they got the first year, how they got, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some things in it are incorrect, but not this. Just the method that he uses is incorrect. This is like the body of Newt. This is where you get the text from. This is the cenotaph of Seti the First. So if you ever go to Kemet, you want to go visit Seti's tomb, you want to go visit Ramses the Fourth's tomb, and you want to visit Ramses the Second's tomb, and even in the Cairo Museum, because they've got a lot of the information right in there concerning the coffins that this information is on. So a lot of it is on coffins, some of it's on Seti's wall, some of it is on Ramses the second and Ramses the sixth wall. Let me get in here real quick. I'm kind of everywhere right now. I just got off of work if he didn't tell you, right? So let me see. This is the hours. I need to go back a little more. Let me see. Patience is a virtue that will get you to everything. And so what we're going to go over, a few things about this calendar. Right now, I'm just trying to get you to the text. I think it's better that we start there first so you can understand how myth creates science, which that was a discussion me and my brother Harold from the Amin Ra squad had, Ausar M. We had a discussion concerning. A lot of people treated the discussion like a debate. Really, it's just a discussion, you know. So I'm about to expand some of this. Give me just a moment. I'm almost there. Any questions you have concerning, throw them in the chat and ask the brother T, and we will get to him. So here we go. I'm gonna blow this up a bit so you guys can see. Can y'all see that better?
You can see it.
Awesome. So let's go to, let me see if I can find it real quick. Yes. So let's start here and here. We'll start there. That's easy. We can just break it down. So if you go to Seti the First ceiling, you'll find this image right here. When you see this image right here, the first thing that you should notice and what you'll know is that this is a myth that explains your real life, right? Each one of these lines represents text in a particular area. We're going to talk about the text in a moment over here as well. This bottom portion here, this represents Seb or Geb or Geb or Eb. You use the clicks. This right here represents his wife, who is Newt. This gentleman here is their father, Shu. This here is Mut, Nebmut. These are marshes. This represents the sun going through her body. Little circle areas. This is Kapara. This also represents the sun. We'll get into all of this here shortly. Now, symbolism, as you hear Brother Jabari say, and then we'll get into what Saber Reggie says, and then, of course, Ausar Cobb breaks all this stuff down anyway. Symbolism. Seb is the symbolism of the earth. This way I represent everybody. Newt is the body, this female body here, represents your immediate solar system. Shu represents the wind, and his wife they represent wind and moisture, spitting and moisture, basically. Wind and moisture, those two elements. Mut is a mother figure representing the marshes. Now, let's go into the text. When you see, let's just go into the text after that, because there it is. There goes Ramses. Now, this is in Ramses IV's tomb. You see this figure right here. It's reversed, but it still represents the same thing. Still same representation. And I can tell you before we even get into the text, when we see certain parts, it tells us what direction we're looking at. I can tell you where the sun is at for the particular parts in this picture. I can tell you where the earth is at for this particular picture, what the sky is doing. I can tell you a few things about the text as the sun travels through her body. If you are Winwet Bob or Ami Unut, whichever you prefer to say, you should be able to do this just from looking at the picture. Just from looking at the picture. Now, let's get into the text. Because sometimes it's not about what I say, right? So I'm gonna make y'all privy to the text. And this is how the calendar is put together. As you can see right here, it says the text around Newt 1 through 13, the new picture. It says the picture on the papyrus, which is referring to this, the female figure of this position, that is to say her head is in the west and her hind part is in the east, is the Necheret, says goddess, it says Necheret, and if you read the writing, is the northern sky. So Nu is your northern sky when you look at the picture in this fashion, and her hind part is the east, and her head represents the west. First thing first, let's go back to the picture real fast, just so you get it right? So this is the east, her hind part. This is the west. The sun rises where? In the east. The sun sets where? In the west. So you're looking at the setting sun here. Over here, you're looking at a rising sun. First thing first, right? Let's go back to the text. We're just going to walk you through it because I got time today. Today I got time, cuss. You know what it is. All right.
Yeah. 100. We've got to give the information for the people that are awake.
Right. We're going to walk y'all down today. Absolutely. So, in the north. So it says her in the east. That is to say the female figure, talking about Newt. He caused the hind part to be the beginning. That is to say it is the place of birth, or of the circumference of the sky in which Ra never rises. Okay, so Ra always rises in the hind part. This text over here you see is broken off, is speaking about the west, and that's where Ra never rises. In the beginning, he caused her hind part to be the beginning. That's where the place of birth of the sun is. That's where he rises. Is broken off piece of the circumference of the sky in which Ra never rises. That's talking about the west, her face. The Ra'et Heret Net Menek, which is under the falcon, which we'll get to when we touch the Dendera zodiac later, are, and then it's broke, you see it's broken off before, it's broken off after, of the circumference of the sky in which Ra is accustomed to rise. So they're telling you the eastern part of the sky is what Ra is accustomed to rising in. Now I'm going to do something for you real quick just so you get an idea what we're talking about. Yang, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Let's go into this folder right here. Let's open this folder. I'm going to just give you a quick picture. This one is good enough. So you see this yellow perch right here? And my arrows encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sunrise. This is where Ra rises at, in the sky. We'll get to that in a minute. This is the perch they're talking about. This is Haru right there. That's baby Haru. No, that's Haru Ra right there. So that's where he rises at. Let's get back to what we was doing, right? That's what they're talking about when they talk about the Ra'et, Haret, Net, Menek, or Menka, if you will. So that is what the text means. So that's the translation that they're telling you about the text. I'm just giving you the breakdown so you know. I could go further. I've done it on my other show, but I'm just giving you a quick breakdown so you can get some of this stuff that you are not going to get to see unless you spend some money. Now, it says, in the water from which Ra rises, and it ends the sentence, the support which stands under the falcon, these surroundings of the circumference of the sky, that is to say, these waters which I have mentioned, broken off portions, they go around in the sky. So they're telling you that Ra is spinning on his revolution. So they knew the sun spun in a circle. They knew it rose from this particular area, and they conceived the thought of space being similar to water, unbreathable. It happens that they travel after he has gone around. A star travels according to the existence of the order of the traveling of the stars. That is to say, those which rise in the sky, these which rise in the sky, all this is to say, all these which rise in the sky, that is to say, these which are on the female figure. So what they're saying is that the stars that make their helical rising and other risings that you'll note in the sky, they rise on Nut. They rise on the female figure, and they do a helical rising, which we're going to cover the 10 days and how we know that in a minute as well. So all the stars have a particular set rising. We see them in the sky at certain times. They saw them in the sky at certain times. They knew the stars traveled according to the existence of the order of the traveling of the stars. And that means that they travel in a circumference and they travel in orbits. We'll get to that in a minute. The texts which are on the picture are according to those which the description of the monuments of the stars provides in the book Benin. That's a book from Jehuti. You may want to take note of that. The text which is between the falcon and the vulture, it is her southeastern side behind Punt that the Netcha exists. Who's the Netcha? They're talking about the sun rising behind the city of Punt. You know where Punt is at, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Africa. So that's how they seen things, right? That's how they seen the end of their world, or the beginning of it in Punt. So they named Punt specifically, and we know Hatshepsut, Senenmut's girlfriend, Senenmut being one of the first astronomers that we know of, sent her son on a pilgrimage over there. And you can look that up on your own time. Anyway, let's go forth with the text. Let's keep it going. It says, it is the southeastern side behind Punt that this nature exists. It is the southeastern place of the falcon behind Punt that this nature exists. That is to say, the falcon which is on the picture. You'll notice they repeat things about 3 to 4 times all the time. That's a RAMETCH custom, an Egyptian custom, if you will. It is said it is Ra who is established there. The Necha was alone without allowing the Sabiyat to go to it. And then some broken off the form. He is Ra when he rises from the water at morning. He is a falcon coming from noon, says the book Protection of the Bed. It's another book of Jehuti. He is traveling before the lightning of the sky. So they're making a scientific elaboration that suns travel in dark energy. And we know that from today's science, suns travel on a path of dark energy. They're telling you right there. He travels before the lightning of the sky. He begins to travel on the way of, some is broken off, before the lightning of the sky. That is to say, the Necha, it happens that it is in, that his end is in Retu Kebet, which is darkness. And his front is in Serek Ihitiet, which is light. The text which is behind the vulture, which is in the picture, we keep going, we just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
We'll break them down. Is her rising. It is her rising in the place in which she, the vulture, is opposite the falcon. She rises in the east. Remember from the picture, she's in the east. She's by the butt. She's by, and this is where the story comes from in the stars. When you tell it by the stars, Heru, the sun, is birthed in the marshes of Chemis, and our Set is hiding him from Set, and that is why she's in the marsh area. That's what they have over there. We'll get to that in a minute. Here we go. It is with the place that he speaks put when she comes from Necha's land, says the book, seeing the sun's disk. He knows the embrace of a, and then it's broken off again. It is the rising which she makes over Ra in the morning. So in the morning, she births Heru. And we'll get into this, and we'll also get into how we know that the Disher or the Dishret crown, what its name is and what it means. That text, which is under the scarabus, which is under her thigh. So you remember the beetle that was next to her knee? Mm-hmm. That was Copperra. That's the beetle. That's little Heru coming. That's Copperra coming into existence. That's the sun rising in the morning, basically, to keep it simple. He enters as this scarabus. It is as this scarabus that he enters. It is this scarabus that he goes to the sky. That is to say, the form of Copperra, which is in the picture. That is what the text means. It happens that it is in the form of which he rises in the sky. When he is strong, when he goes towards the Dua confronting the rebels. So, if you read the story of Heru battling the rebels of Set, they compared this to him being in his Copperra form, the early morning form. And the blood on the ground kind of refers to this. And this is when he's in his Copperra form and he rises as Behudet, the protector, the avenger of his father. This is where that story starts to come into play. And I'm not going to get too in-depth about those stories. I just want you to know, if you didn't know how to tell these stories, it's very important. That is what the text means. It happens that it is in the form in which he rises in the sky when he is strong. So this is when Heru is strong, that he goes towards the Duat confronting the rebels. That of the first time he comes into existence, like that of the first time on earth in primeval time. This, the one which, sun is broken off, it is like the coming into existence for. Let's go a little further. Here we go. The first time on earth in primeval time that he comes into existence, that is to say, it was in the form of Keperer or Copperra. Just keep Copperra in your head. That's what the Messiah say. The Messiah have the same information, same thing. That he began to go to the sky in primeval time. He, at the first day in primeval time, the one in which he was completed at the beginning again. The texts which are before her thigh. And so there's text before her thigh, as we've already pulled up, and you've seen, and we'll get to that in a minute. The life of the deacon Kenmut, together with Ab and the deacon Shetah, is the life of Heru. So they're telling you the three places in the sky that he appears. Let's go back to this here. Let's go back to this Dendera picture. I'm just gonna leave it up here. This one here, hold on, let me get the one with the text. This way we can just we can read it. If I can remember which one is visible, we can see it. We'll read it out. This way you don't have to, you don't have to worry about guesswork or is this right? Is this like this? What happened here? None of that. We just gonna read it out. I'm gonna bring this up real quick. Yeah, let me bring it up real quick. This is a JPEG of how the text looks when you see it up close. Come on, computer. For your Binoy, come on. There you go. So this is how the text looks when it's all filled in, right? All this stuff in here. You're talking about this area right here, right now. You're talking about this beetle right here. This is the copper eye. This is, we'll get into this in a minute. Get into that in a minute. But just so you know, so you can start to get the visuals, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But pull that up in Paint. Get that out of here. Now, let me go to the spot where we were talking about just a second ago. Let me see if I can find it. I think it might be on here. Let me see if I blow this up, if it'll be clear enough. Yeah. No. Let me see. Just need a clear version for you real quick. I think this one might be clear. Let's see. Any day. Here it comes. I got too much stuff open on my computer. I'm doing about 6 different works at the same time right now. And you caught me fresh off of work. The brother called me. He like, yo, you at work? I'm like, yo, I'm at work. Hold on. Let me see if we can get it. Come on now. Don't freeze on me. It's going to freeze on me if I pull that up. Let me try one more thing. Let me see. See if I can pull it up through this one here. No biggie. We might be able to touch on it later. I was going to show you the 3 different positions in the sky, but not that important. We'll get to that later. We'll get to some of that other stuff later. So here we go. The text which are before her thigh, which we covered, is the beetle. So mark this stuff down. Make sure you write this stuff down so you have the official, from the text. It says the life of the deacon. It actually says the life of the Nemu. Kenmut, together with Ab and the Nemu Shetah, is the life of Heru. The life of the Nemu or deacon, Kenmut, together with Ab and the deacon Shetah, is the life of Horus. The rising of Kenmut, together with Ab and Shetah, is the rising of Heru. That is to say, the place where Kenmut rises is the Ka day. So it's the spirit of the day. The place where Ab rises, the place where Shetah rises in the Ka day, is the place where Ra rises. So saying those 3 other places, those 3 other locations are where Ra becomes Ra, as opposed to baby Heru being birthed. To the place of rising which Ra makes, the one which he makes. Another version says this. It says, if the, it's broken off, and it goes around in the place of rising of Kenmut together with Ab and Shatta, it is the rising of Ra. That is to say, the place of rising which Kenmut makes together with Ab. And let's go to the next page. So they're basically describing a day. They're describing what a day is like. And when the sun goes in those three different places and rises again, that's a day. It's describing the day for you. Shatta is the place of rising which Ra makes. It says, he opens his ball of clay. He swims in his redness. He opens when he sets. He swims in. Some is broken off. So this is describing a baby being birthed from the mother. It opens to the sky. It opens to the sky. That is to say, the place in which Ra rises upwards from the dua, that from which he rises daily. So, like I said, they're describing a day in those last sentences. And this is the beginning of the day when he's swimming in his redness. He's being birthed out of his mother, if you will. He sits on his cloth. He sits on his cloth. That is to say, on his birth brick. So if you don't know about the birth brick in ancient Kemet, you should check that out. That is to say, he is accustomed to do it. He in the form of Kapara, and he assumes the form of the sun disk, which is spoken of, the one in which is in the picture. It is the water of that he makes. If it is in the water, that it is customarily sat upon. So coming out of the mother, you are placed on the birth brick, you are on your cloth, the doctors are wiping you up. Heru is born. Every morning, Heru is born. He grows strong to become Ra in the two other places. As he circumferences and he's born again, that makes a day. It says he is purified in the arms of his father, Ausar. His father lives and he is glorious when he has put himself under him. When they talk about that, they talk about Ausar's hand pushing him up. And we'll get to that text as well, which is how you know that they knew about centripetal force and they knew about gravity under the stars, which we're not going to get into today. Anyway, he is purified in the arms of his father, Ausar. He is purified in the hand of his father, Ausar. That is to say, he is accustomed to do it. It is the water from which he rises. He lives. He is glorious when his father has put himself under him. He lives. He is beautiful in his rising from it. That is to say, the water. The redness comes after birth. The redness comes after his birth. The redness comes after birth. The redness comes after birth. I tell you, they say stuff 4 times. It is in the color which comes in the sun disk at dawn, that he, that is to say, Ra, rises, his rays being upon the earth in the color named. Look at the picture. The red crown is that which is red, Dishret. So what is the red crown's meaning? It's the afterbirth of Heru's mother. And that's what makes your blood sacred. When you look at the emblem that we wear, which is the belt of Aset, it says you're protected in her blood, like she protected Heru, if you know anything about the mythos. And this is what the red crown is. It's the shret. It's sacred. That's the meaning of its name. It's when Ra rises. It's the redness after the birth. The redness comes after his birth. They told you 4 times, so you can't mess that up. Can't mess that up. Now, let's go a little further. We've established that they made a day based off of watching the sun in its locations. That's one thing. The text, we established they know this, what the universe is. You know, we know the east from the west, we know the southeast, we know the north, they know their directionals. Let's go further. The texts which are before her thigh, we're still there. It is from the Duat that the majesty of this Necha goes forth, and in the Mesket region that these stars go forth from him. He is reached in the Mesket region. He was glorious in the arms of his father, Ausar and Tawir, at the first time of his antiquity. He happens to withdraw to the sky in the hour Shetep-Nes. He is strong. It is from the Duat that the majesty of this nature goes forth, and in the Mesket region that these stars go forth with him. It is from the Duat that the nature rises, these stars rising with him in the Mesket region. It is the door of the Duat. So now you know the door of the Duat is in the Mesket region. In particular, like I showed on a show before on this show, it's under Ausar, where Ausar births things. Ausar is made up of it's the constellation Orion, but it also goes a little further than Orion, and it's right next to the rabbit where the birthing takes place. Where the door, or not where the birthing takes place, where the door, the Duat is at. So if you know the constellation of the rabbit, which you know that Ausar in Medu Neter is also called Winifred, and you know that the rabbit, you understand how the Medu Neter starts to get formulated by these things and the stars. Not just the stars, but you can start to see how they name the things around them by seeing particular things in their universe. Let's go a little further. It is from the Duat that the majesty of this nature goes forth, and in the Mesket region that these stars go forth with him. It is from the Duat that the nature rises, these stars rising with him in the Mesket region. It is the door of the Duat. So when a helical rising happens, let me explain it for you. The sun rises, Heru rises, and before that, a star rises. When the star rises with or right before the sun, or as the sun is coming up a little after it, that is called its helical rising. This will happen for about 10 days. You'll see that same star, and then it'll disappear and another star will come and take its place. This is very important for those who explain the calendar to know how to read this in the sky. So this is in the morning when the sun rises, you'll see a star rise right before it, generally, so you can see it, or with the sun as it comes up, and it'll happen for about a 10-day period, and then it will disappear. Now, let's go further. He is revivified in the Mesket. Yeah. He was glorious in the arms of his father. Yeah. The order comes that he withdraw toward mankind in the hour Shetep-Nes. It happens that he orders his withdrawal. We'll get into that later. Nah, we won't. We don't need to get all deep into that. I'm giving you the primary text so that you know how we know how the calendar works. Let's go. It says, towards mankind from the Duat in the hour Shetep-Nes. It is the 9th hour of the night. That is what the text means. It happens that the book of Gabet names the 8th gate of the Duat. So if you guys have it's a 3-volume set. It's called The Egyptian Heaven and Hell. You'll see these gates. It'll describe the night. It'll describe the stars. It'll describe how they came up with the year in a minute. We'll get to that in a sec. The people who are in it enter. Another explanation. He begins to go withdrawing towards mankind. That is to say, it is after pieces are broken. He rises the book, the 5 days on the year in which the hour Shetep-Nes, the 9th hour of the night, that is to say, the one in which he rises. So they talk about the 5 days of the year, which are equivalent to the birthing of Ausar, Heru the elder, Set, Aset, and Nebedhet. Those 5 are the children of Nu and Seb or Geb or Eb. But we'll get to that in a minute. His existence is great. His existence is great, which is glowing, blah, 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 in the lands. He causes it to exist in the lands. That is to say, the glowing, the place where he causes it to exist is not named. His heart exists. His strength exists. He sees Geb. Is he Ra when he goes forth? His heart exists. His strength exists. His heart exists. That is to say, he is strong against a Pep. This is when he's being strong against Apep. He sees Geb. His sight is at the earth. When the rising which he makes is complete, his sight is at his rays on the earth. We'll get into why we say that in a minute. We'll cover all this today, right? So you thought you just was going to come in here and see some calendar and all that. We could do that too. We're going to get to that too. But you need the primaries today. That's what you're going to get. Small is Ra when he goes forth. He is small Ra in his beginning to rise. That is to say, Ra in his beginning to rise at morning. Until he has grown, he is small in it, the morning. The limits of heaven. That's how you know it's baby Heru. It's little Ra at that time, right? I said that earlier. The text tells you later. The limits of heaven. The distant region of the sky is in total darkness. Its boundaries, south, north, west, and east, are not known. As weary ones, there is no rising of the soul. There whose land, south, north, west, and east, is not known by the Necharu. There is no injury there. Now, as for every place of shadow of the sky and shadow of earth, it is the entire Duat. So they're telling you they don't know that part of the universe once you pass a certain area. I'm not going to get into that. They do know our solar system. Here we go. The upper border, opposite the head of the female figure, it is the beginning from the book sky. This is why they call the book of Nut the book of the sky. They also have the book of the night. We'll get to that in a minute. The distant region of the sky is in total darkness. The distant region of the sky is in darkness, which is total. Let's go to the next one. That is to say, Retu Quebec, which it is said in the book Her, or Hor, or Hori, or Heru, or Her, if you will, when we pronounce it, we say Hor, which is the circuit of the sky. Ra does not rise from it. So they're talking about the west. It is his possession. It is about his that it is about his, there's some broken off, that it, the text, will speak to you. Its boundaries to the south, the north, the west, the east are not known. No one knows its extent to the south, the north, the west, the east. That is to say, the darkness. So no one knows how far the universe goes. That it, the text, names the south, the north, the east, the west. It is to cause you to understand the fact that it is the circuit of the sky. These are established in the primeval water, like weary ones. These are in the water, they being weary. That is to say, the places which I have named. There is no rising of the soul there. There's no rising of Ra there. Whose land to the south, the north, the west, and the east is not known by the Necharu and the spirits. There is not there knowing his land to the south, the north. They're going to say that again. We're going to skip that. There is not any light there. There is not any light in it. Let's go further. Here we go. Now we start to get into some of the stars that rise helically. Now every place spreads out every shadow. It is entirely spread out in darkness, which every place makes. That is to say, the waters. High of the lands is the entire Duat. Higher are there lands than the entire Duat. Another version, empty of lands is the entire Duat. There are no lands of the entire Duat. That is to say, the darkness which is in it. That is to say, the places. It's like is not in the lands of the entire Duat. It happens that the darkness there is much more than that which is in the Duat. So they're saying outer space is darker than the Duat area, which is in our immediate solar system. Then we talk about the Nemu, the deacons. It says the texts which are the Ra'et Haret of the prince whose hand is under the sky, talking about Ausar lifting his son up, as we read in the earlier text. The doing in Iyat, when Satis rises, this is Septat. This is when the star Septat rises. This is the helical rising we just discussed. All these stars begin in the sky in the first of Akhet. The first of Akhet. That's when it starts. That's when your new year starts. When Septat rises, when Satis rises, says the book Shin in Ejenu. In the first of Akhet, at the rising of Satis, all these stars. So they're telling you the first star that they witness rise is Satis. and that begins the year. And they happen in the first month of Akhet, which we'll cover when we get into the months and we break all that down. Right now, we're going through the text. You're getting the slow drama today. Rise in the sky. That is to say, at the rising of Sathis in the first of Akhet. It is the beginning of the year. When is the beginning of the year? The first of Akhet, right? Tell them again. It is the beginning of the year with Ra, in whom there is no alteration which he made in the path of the stars. The book Benin says, Sathis, there are 18 stars after her and 18 stars before her, the beginning of calling the stars. Pawi Duat is the first hour in the fourth month of Akhet on the 26th, enclosed by the Duat, the third of Peret, another season, the 16th. The 16th is the birth. And then the second is the birth happens the second of Shemun, the 16th. So here we have, they're naming all three of the seasons. And they're telling you Pawi Duat is the first hour that they see this in the nighttime. So this is the nighttime they're talking about, the beginning of calling the stars. And there are 18 of those stars that we watch. There's 18 before Septat, there's 18 after her. So they're referring to that star, Sathis, as a female. That particular female would be Aset. And they're referring to the stars after and before her and how they begin to call the stars or recall how a year goes. Pawi Duat is the first hour, and they give you when they see these things and what have you. The fourth month of Akhet on the 26th, and it's enclosed by the Duat on the third month of the season of Peret. Akhet is the season, Peret is the season. This is the 16th, and the birth happens on the second of Shemu on the 16th. At least it happened at this particular time on the Papyrus Carlsberg when they created it. Let's go further. So they're establishing that they know the year. They just told you that, the beginning of the year. It says this, it says, the way of calling every one of them, the last part of the text is that according to the book of Seth, on the third month of Akhet on the 26th day, to the first of Peret, the 6th, they are called. Opposite Kenmut to Jem are they these 5 stars. So they're telling you that that we won't get into that because I'm not going to explain how a Necharu works today in full. Pawi Duat, first hour, first of Peret, the 6th. They're naming dates right now. That is to say, the first of Peret, the 6th, it stops working. So they're talking about how a Necharu works. And they're talking about the season and the time frame that particular Necharu works. And I'm going to leave that at that because I'm not going to tell you how a Necharu works today. It happens that's something that's done in-house. It begins to do work, blah, 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 blah. A star dies and a star, yeah. I'm going to skip. Let me see. Enhanced by the Duat, there's a birth of... yeah, we're going to skip that. Everybody, and see, this is what I'm talking about. Everybody talks about astrology and astronomy and, oh, this is that, but you don't know how a Necharu works. So if you don't know how a Necharu works, you can't explain the difference between what the Greeks and the Romans did to what the RAMETCH did. Let's get back to the business. As for what is between the star which makes the first hour and the star which will be enclosed by the Duat, it is nice. We're going to skip that too. That's talking about the Necharu, how it works. We got to grab some of this because here we go. Yeah, we can grab that. We'll do that. This is going to be the explanation of how these things work. Hold on one second. Honey? Yeah, I'm explaining right now on my man's show. I'm gonna call you in 2 seconds. All right. Yeah. All right. So let me pull this up. All right. So this is plate 47. It says, as for what is between the star which makes the first hour and the star which will be enclosed by the Duat, it is 9 stars. Now, as for what is between the star of birth to the star which makes the first hour, it is 20 stars, which gives 29, being those which live and work in the sky. Yeah. Let's get out of there. Hold up. Let me see. I got to use some of it, though. Let me see. Let me see which part we want to use. Let me see. Okay. Okay, star which is at the door to do what? In the west. All right, they are 9 stars. It is the text does not discuss them there. The book makes them the 9 stars. Okay, we got to get out of there. All right, here we go. Let's get to the explanation of the week, etc., etc. All right. They have completed their work. They're talking about the stars and Ancestral completing its work in a particular time frame of the year and when it has its effect on the earth. All right. Another version of without being in the duat, outside the duat, the star which shall rise. They are 7 stars. All right. Let me get out of that. Let me see. All right. Here we go. Then it happens that the text discusses the stars are working in the middle of the sky. They are the total of 36 stars. So they've established that there are 36 sectors of the sky based on the stars that they see helically rise, and also based on the stars as they appear at night in a particular formation, which allows you to know how the Ancestral work. So there are 36 of these stars. The rest, 29, that is to say, the rest of the stars which are seen in the sky daily are 29 stars to cause you to know it. The west, the middle of the sky, 12. The east, 8 in them. It says they being in the Duat. So they're describing the physicality of the Duat in its totality and what you should see. And they've also established that there are 36 stars in the sky that separate your year. 36 times 360. When a star helically rises every 10 days over 36 360 day time frame, that equals 360. That's your first year. And they've also established that there are 5 days outside of that 360. That is how you get your 365. But we'll get to that in a second, where it'll say it a lot more clearly than that. So it says here, like those which live and work in the sky, since those which are risen are doing work in the sky. That is to say, the stars which I spoke of are 12. They are the 12 stars which do work in the middle of the. All right, we don't want to read that. Let me see. No dua stuff. It is by her mouth that the majesty of the Netra enters within the Duat. Afterwards, he goes forth, and in it, the sky he travels with him. These stars enter, and with him they go forth, hurrying to their places. It is by her mouth that the majesty of this Netra enters within the Duat. It is by her mouth, that is to say, and it says it 4 times as usual. So they're saying that Heru sets, and the star goes into her mouth as if she's eating them at night. So at nighttime, it looks as if she's eating the stars. They go into her mouth, and it sets that particular star, which will lead us to the mythos about the beef with Geb and his wife Nut in a minute, because Nut is the one who's eating these stars, and we'll get to that in a minute. The disc which is at her mouth, afterwards he goes forth, and in it the sky he travels. From that, it is to say the Duat, he goes forth. That is to say the sky, he travels again. With him these stars enter, and with him they go forth. So we covered that. That's a helical rising in the morning, and this is at nighttime when they disappear. This is the other type of rising. There's several types of risings. We're not going to cover them all. With him these stars set, and with him they rise. When their time of setting is complete, the period in which they are not customarily seen takes place. With him they customarily rise, and with him they customarily set. It is while hurrying to their places that these enter. It is while traveling to their places, that is to say, the ones which are for them, that these set. It is the place in which they do work. It happens that it is to receive others for them that some are accustomed to set. the book of Shed covers the setting of the stars. Come at their hour. It says this. It says, others come at their hour when a star has gone to its place. The house of the pillars is the place where Ra is. And let me see. We're going to cover just a little bit more, and then we'll hop into the physicality of the calendar. See, it is the hour of the evening that the majesty of the nature enters the Sar, blah, 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 blah. Let me scoot over here. Talk about the Western interests of the Dua. None of that's important right now. Just need the text, the dramatic text. Yeah. So the dramatic text talks about the myth between Seb and Nu. Hold on. I want to give you the part where it talks about the 10 days real fast, so you know the days when it rises and when it sets. Nest and the birds, nest, Dua, blah, 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 blah. Not there. Did they have any questions, T, while I dig this up? Because I'm doing this on the fly.
Let me look through the questions. Those that travel through the Milky Way, next text, Saba. Sirius is what he's speaking.
Yeah, I stopped that. Yeah.
In the northeast and east to the not at this precise moment. Oh, are there, speaking of the stories in the ancestral bodies, we went past that.
In fact, if you get
one that was said, which is this one, by Menelated goddess, how did the Kemetic people honor their winter solstice?
They did that with the ceremony called Kaher Ka, which is the celebration of Ausar coming back. So there's a few things about Ausar. Ausar passes away, and the story is told through the moon. Ausar passes away and comes back through a story through the sun. Ausar also passes away and comes back through a story through the seasons. And Plato covers this in particular. Ausar passes, and the 23rd winter solstice, the sisters start to call him back. And so when you read the papyrus that we're deciphering right now, whereas the book of Overthrowing of Pep is on that same papyrus. I can't think of it at the moment. It tells the story. The sisters are singing the song for Ausar to come back home. Come back, brother. It's okay. We've taken care of Set. This is done now. This is such and such. Come back home. So they start to call him back home and back to life. And that starts on the 23rd of December generally. And we also celebrate a particular celebration of the Aku around that time. The month Kaher Ka, which is the spirit of your ancestors, basically, to keep it simple. And during that time, we set out food. It's basically a form of saying grace. We open windows, we keep doors a little tilted open, and everyone in ancient Kemet would do the same thing, and they would welcome those spirits of their Aku back, them was sick back, their imperishable stars, their ancestors back home, so that they could vibe and they could eat the food, and they would say the grace, and it would be a celebration. They would also light candles, and they would put them on the river and let them float concerning. That's how we would do it. All right, let me get back into the mix. So let me close this out right now. I'm not going to go too in depth about that, right? Mm-hmm. Let's get to our calendar a bit. Let me see a good spot to pull up here. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Pull all this rhetoric down here. And let me see if I can pull up me see if I can pull up. See if I can pull up one of the just a basic calendar on here. Let me see. Well, before we even get there, right? I want to pull it up though, so you can see it. Let me see. I got it in here, but let me.
Someone was asking, do you have information on the Sirius stars?
Yeah, we got some info on the star Sirius and Sop that concerning its helical rising. Concerning its helical rising and how we know that it comes into when it comes into being. As I had shown my brothers just this last year, we had it wasn't really a prediction contest. Some of them said it was coming here. Some of them said it was coming here. I said it should be coming on the 8th. Mm-hmm. It's helical rising, and it came on the 8th. I believe this year it should come on the 15th. So the first thing we want to do is to calculate when Sopdet rises is we want to take the summer solstice. Mm-hmm. And then we want to count 28 days from that, because that's when we'll see the star regal. Then we want to count another 28 days from that. And that's when we'll get our helical rising. That's astronomy. That's when you can start to predict when these stars appear in the sky based off the cycles that they take in the solar system. So that's first. That's how you know. So if you go to Egypt, you go to Kemet and you do it from there, it should appear. I know from my area it's going to appear on the 15th. I think from there, I believe it'll be, I can't remember the date. I calculated it though, but here in Colorado, where I have to be responsible for, it should pop up around the 15th, maybe the 16th, maybe the 14th, but it should pop up around the 15th this year. That will be when the helical rising of Sopdet takes place. So that would be that. The other thing would be what is the calendar made up of? And that's why I'm looking for the calendar now. Let me see if I can find the Cairo calendar. Mm-hmm. Just a picture so I can pull it up here. And then we can just kind of walk through some of the stuff on the calendar so you can start to understand it, and we'll break it down. Let me see. Here goes. Not so clear. Let me get you a clear one.
If there's anybody that needs to ask any questions, please ask your questions as he's here. If there's and if you would like to come on, I will put the link in the chat so you can come and ask your questions live. It's all up to you. But please press like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, family.
Thank you, family. Absolutely. So I'm gonna share
bro,
this.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Richie.
Yeah.
Wagwan, how you doing, bro?
Wagwan. What's going on, family?
Long time you ain't spoken still. Big up to yourself, bro.
Where you been at?
Make science for the back
end. Yeah.
That's all.
That's my guy right there.
Yeah, my signal's playing up today. That's why I was kind of late coming in.
Is low, and it's just taking a while.
Big up to everybody in the chat room as well, joining us.
No trouble. The main...
Hello. Go to brother.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna show you just a couple things. This is Senmut's calendar, right? Here you will see the breaking down of each one of these. These here are months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. These represent the months up here. And all you got to do is read, right? It says ka ka. You know what I'm saying? If you read it, it's not difficult. If you don't read it, it becomes difficult. So just so you know, these are the months. This will be a primary resource. And this is talking about the particular king right there. It's Amen, blah, 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 Ra, etc. Mayet, Ankh, all that stuff up there. The Dishret right here. All that stuff is there. Dishret right there, Ankh, and all that stuff is there. So if you read this, you would know the calendar. You would at least have an idea what's happening at this particular time of year that they made this calendar. Here, this is the Mesquite region right here, right? And this is your solar system in the middle. That's what they're showing you right here in the middle. This is your solar system. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and the 13th month right there. Yes. So this is your calendar, and it's broken down. But we're going to get into another thing that makes it a little easier for you. I believe it's on that page. This is the book of Nut here. This is the sun traveling through her body. This is the east. Remember, the bud is the east. Remember, the sun, the mouth is the west. This is Kapara. This covers a whole nother situation. Let me see if we can. What I'm looking for is a physical calendar. See, they're talking about the birth and all that stuff. They're talking about the names of the months, but this here they have in Greek. Aether and Shoiak, all that's Greek, and some of it's Coptic, and they mixed the two. But I just want to get you the actual calendar real fast. Let me see if I can dig it up, because through that we can break it down real fast. We'll just cover the different spots. We'll cover the names of stuff on there so you understand what you're looking at. Let me just kind of see if I can find one real quick. Let's see how this looks when I pull it up. This way we just do it fresh from the wall, right? Let me see real quick. So there's 3 seasons, and each season has 4 months in it. Those 4 months, let me see. The 23rd, the 2nd, this is not. This is pieces of it, but not enough. Like there's no names up top of it. Japet. Okay, so yeah, this is not the. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I need to find it for y'all real quick. It's just portions of it. We need the whole thing. See if I can find it.
Family, the link is in the chat. If you like to come on, please do press the link at the StreamYard and you can come on the platform and ask your questions. Or if you have any questions and you don't want to come on, please do put it through. I know it's late out here, but we've got to get
It's afternoon out here, right?
I know it's afternoon over there, and it's
sorry about that
over here. But the job is done. We've got to teach the people.
Absolutely. See if I can see close enough with the.
Get your pens, Get
11.
cold.
That's too little. You're not going to be able to. I need something that's going to show it clear for you. Like here, you can see the days. You can see the particular days, but this is not clear enough for you. No trend. Yeah, I need something that's going to be clear for you. Hold on, let me see if I can. I think I might have one. Let me check in my phone. I thought I had one in my folder. You just happened to catch me right when I was coming from work. Literally hanging up the phone, hopping on, and then, otherwise I would have been set up. The stuff already ready. This is me on the fly right now. Just right from the cusp. So where's my folder? Here's the folder. Let me see if Irima art. Techno. And then what here's the body. That's the breakdown of the body. But I need the months. Where's my months at? Let me see.
Someone said check your Facebook, Saba.
Check my. He said check my what?
Your Facebook.
He said, "Oh, my Facebook." Give the names, but I want to give you a visual, right? So we can cover each one in the metal nutshell, and you can read it in that fashion. So I read out the names of the thing, but it's not going to help if you don't, you know what I mean? If you don't see it, but appreciate that. I want the a picture, and I know I got it in here, but anyway, let's just go. We'll go to the face. Show you from a picture.
Okay.
An actual, so we cover all the goodies. So you can see a half moon, which we call cons. You can see metin, which show on there. Septot, Abet, which is the name of all the goods.
You're chopping in and out.
It's okay. I got too much stuff going on at the time, and we'll get to all that. My little choppy.
Yeah, it was chopping for
I gotta be on there. Okay. So I'm just gonna cover it because my number one, I can't find the pick at the moment, and technical difficulty. So let me just stop. We'll stop sharing. So you'll write this down, right? The first month is Arket. And we covered that in the text just a moment ago. And when you see Arket, just to give you a description, it looks like land with flowers birthing from it and water coming out of it. And then you will see the T, the bread loaf next to it. And underneath that, or on the side of it, you will see a circle with a dot in the middle, which is called Ra. And if you use Greek calendars, it's called Sol. In that month, in that particular month, what we call a month, we call it Abet. That's what we call a month. In that month, we have Jehuti is the first month, or Tut, if you will. Payapi is the next month. Athis is the next month. Koyak is the next month, right? Koyak is called Kaher Ka. The Ather is called Het Heru or Het Her. You know what I'm saying, etc., etc. Payafi refers to Ptah. You know, if you read the Coptic names next to it, and Jehuti is your first name, Teki, as you'll probably see it. If you read it in Coptic, it's starting from the top. The first month is Jehut or it's Tehut. The second month will be Beba. The third name will be Harur, and the last name will be Kayak or Koyak, if you will. The second season, which would be Peret. And so remember, there's 3 seasons. Each one has 4 months. So we named the first 4 months in Arket. Now we're going to Peret, which is the winter season, which the sister was asking about earlier. In that month, which is around, December 11th, it starts. The 23rd is your winter solstice, and that's when the sisters start to call Ausar back to life. And that's when you start to have the longest day or the shortest day of the year start to turn into longer days. You go from a winter dead season to a life-giving season. Mm-hmm. So in Peret, where you have which is called the emergence, you have what they call Tibi is the first month. Menker is the second. Pa Minath is the third, and Parmuti is the other, the last one. And when we call them in the Medu Necha, we would say Set But. We would say the next month is Rek Ur. We would say the third month is Rek Neches, and we would say the fourth one is Renuti. Trying to pull from my brain. In the Coptic, it's Tuba is the first month, Amshir is the second, Baramhat is the third, and Bayona is the fourth. Then we go to the summer, which we call Shemut. And it looks like a water basin. It's got the noon underneath it, and it has the bread loaf on the side of it or sometimes above it. And then Ra is under that bread loaf, or Sol in the Greek. And that particular month would be Pakons, Peoni, Apipi, and Mesori. Those are the 4 months in Greek. If you use the Medu Necha, it's Kanshu, it's Herakent Kati, it's Apet, it's Hera Mkut, and those are the 4. So I'll say those again. Kansu, Herakent Kati will be the second month. Apet is your third month. Hera Mkut will be the 4th month. And if we say them in Coptic, you got Bashans. The second month is Baramoda. The third month is Apib. And the 4th is Mahri. And then after that, at the end of Shenmut, which is usually about August 7th, which is what I like I said last year, I told them it would appear about August 8th. You will have the beginning of the Epigamino days, and then you will have the new season begin of Arket after that. So the Epigamino days, which this is a leap year this year, so these days will come into effect in your calendar, where the RAMETCH would do it every 4 years. They would add these 5. So this is when Ausar would appear on August 8th, like I had predicted. Set would appear, Heru Or would appear on the 9th. Set would appear on the 10th. Our Set would be on the 11th. And Nebet Het would appear on August 12th. Mm-hmm. And that would be the order of your calendar if we were looking at
someone Facebook Messenger.
Say that one more time.
Someone called Cosmic Thoughts said to check your Facebook Messenger.
Okay, let me check one there. Let me see if it pops up for me. Let me see. Go to Messenger. We'll do it on the phone. Yeah, so he sent me the picture. I posted a million times. He probably been posted this a million times too. Let me see if I can pull up Facebook real quick, and then we can kind of walk through each one here for you. My brother Cosmic Thoughts, man, we appreciate you, brother. That way we can give you a visual with the verbal.
Peace, family. I hope you're enjoying the information. Please share, subscribe, and like. Press that like button. Tomorrow is going to be fantastic as we've got the women taking over the Black Eyes TV7, the International Sister Circles.
So you're really looking at a work week, and then looking at that work week, they cover.
So 5 o'clock UK time, 12 o'clock ES time, American time. We'll be having the Sister Circle, and we'll be talking about finance. Where the money at? How to maintain and how to make sure that you're okay with your financials after this pandemic that is going on right now. So please check it out, ladies. There'll be loads of information on that day tomorrow. And then we have a special guest on Monday. We have a royal guest coming from the hearts of Africa. That's going to be a heated and high discussion. That'll be
Let me see if I can find that page my brother posted up again.
So family, please share, like, and go back into the archives, as we have so much information in the archives. And on Thursday coming, we will be having everything to do with music. We have the music show. We interview music artists. We talk about music on Total Exposure, which is on every Thursday. Friday, we have a new show, which will deal with the children and their parents, which will be the Manhood Academy. It'll be having their own show, talking about how to deal with our children, how to work with our children, the rites of passage for our children, how the family needs to engage while we're in quarantine with our children. That will be at 8 o'clock on Friday, and every Friday after that. So please tune into Black Eyes TV, as there's many programs coming on as we are waiting for our brother Ausar, giving us that daily info on the calendar. As earlier on today, we had brother King Simon, who was talking about numerology. Please check it out. It's now on the archives, on the uploaded. Go through all the other archives, as we've been doing a show nearly every day for giving you that info. So please share, like, and subscribe, family. There's big up to Cosmic Thoughts, Ricardo Williams, Soul Sunray, and many more in the chat room. If you have any questions, or you would like to come onto the panel and ask the the questions about the Egyptian calendar, please do so. I will put the link in the chat so you can come on board and ask your questions, or put your questions in the chat room and we will answer them.
And I think all right, finally, I got the, now let me try to share real quick. Let me see if it'll let me do that real fast. My messenger was not trying to work for me. And that's still kind of far down. You may not be able to, hold on, let me expand it. No, don't create a post, just make big, no, make bigger. Let me see if I can get it bigger for you here. I saw Brother Patah Sakara Ausar down there below.
Yeah, if you want to know about Patah, he's got a lot of his archives in the Black Eyes TV. He's given us a lot of information. Please check him out.
This thing will not get, I need it to go bigger. Because you cannot see that. Let me let's try it again. You know what? Let me download it real quick. Then I can expand it out real fast, and then we can get into it so you guys can see a little bit. Not remove, not forward. Here, let me just do this. Let's save it.
Send it to mine. And I can
okay, let me do that. Let me just save it on the desktop real quick, because then I'll try to expand it from there.
We're trying to sort something so you can get this information.
I got too much stuff up, but that's because we got. So let me forward this to you. See, it's acting crazy because I got so much. There's so much going on here. Let me. There it is. How you gonna disappear on the brother, man? Here we go. Come on now. You're just going crazy. Get out of there. Get out of there. All right. So here.
Being patient with us.
Oops, I sent it back to RAMETCH.
Okay.
All right. So that's on its way to you, T.
Uh-huh.
See if you can expand it. I'm going to try and pull it up on mine so we can expand it and get into it. And then we'll come back and do a cleaner presentation for them. But that way I can just pull out parts of the text and we'll be ready to go. But like I said, I'm coming from work, fresh off the phone, hopping right into the mix. So here we go. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I've got it up. I've got it.
You got it?
Yep. Hold on. Let me go to my share screen.
Oh, let me stop sharing, huh?
It don't matter because I've got the panel.
Oh, you do? Okay. Gotcha.
You got it?
There we go. And let me expand mine so I can see yours. Where's my? Well, I won't need it. So,
How big do you want me to go? Can you see it?
a little crazy, huh? Yeah, that's good. That's good right there.
Okay.
Sort of. Hold on. I mean,
is it clearer? What is it?
it's not blurry.
Okay.
So
I can just scroll down. Tell me wherever you feel.
we kind of want to see the whole thing, but we can't see the whole thing because you can't do that. Okay. So I gotta.
So let me go. Hold on. Let me see the whole thing.
We'll probably go section by section. Yeah.
Okay. So hold on. Let me see. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good right there. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. So above right here, the very first part you see it says year, which is RAMETCH. Right up top. The month. Scoot that up a little closer, family.
Closer. Okay. Hold on. The month.
Because where you can see it and they might be able to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got the year, the month, the day.
Yeah. So the month that you see, and you can't see my cursor as we do this, is called Abed. The day is called Heru.
Heru, yeah.
Yeah. The hour is Winut or Ami Unut. As you see here, they say Unut, and then they say here Winwet. So this is what we would be called if you're an astronomer or you're an hour watcher or you're a Wab priest. So what you do, we are the Winwet Wab, the pure priest. Wab is pure. Winwet is our watcher. The day is here. Or the this here is the basically Abed, because this is the deity. And you have the sound here, like Anuat. So Abed here. This is RAMETCH above. And this is Win Newt. And you have the Dua star here. When you go the second portion where it says season.
Which one?
Symbol hours are here.
You're chopping up a bit.
Our bed, and then you have the K symbol to its left. You have the bread loaf. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So you got me? Okay. So
you're coming in and out again.
You have, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
So we'll keep it simple.
I think your internet is chopping up. Family, if you can hear him, please say 1. If you can't, please say 0. I think he has chopped up. Family, it's been a long day. And we're having technical problems at the moment. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you pretty clear. I think mine's is the choppy one. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Nice and clear.
I'm like, man, this thing is a mess. So, where did we leave off?
Okay,
we were describing. That's right. We were doing the descriptions. So, when you go to the season, it says Arquette. But it's good that you can read these things right here. And I'm just going to I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to give gardener codes right now. We have the flower bed, we have the K symbol, and we have the T symbol. And then we have Heru, the day, right here at the end. So this is Arquette. And we know it's this day symbol right here. This is this symbol for day. This is the season that it is. Arquette was the first season in the primary resource when we read the text, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we know exactly what we're looking at. The Abet, the month, this is the first Abet right here. This moon. And then you see this stroke for Wa. That's what you would call the number 1 in ancient Kemet. And I don't even think I'm going to go all into that right now. But hold up, you moved it. Hold up. So this Y stroke is here under the moon. There it is. And then you have stop moving it. Let us stay still. Yeah.
Yes.
Moving it up and down. Don't move it. It's good. So when you got it, you have Arquette, Heru, and then the day that it is. There's 30 days in each one of these. So if I was to say the first day of Arquette, I would say, I basically would tell you that. If I was to give you the hour that it is, I would say Arquette, Jehut, Wa. Arquette, Jehut, Wa would be the season, Jehut would be the month, Wa would be the day. And then you would keep going, Sin, Kemet, on into the numbers, but we're not going to get into the numbers right now. This is just so you can understand what you're looking at when you see these. So the half moon with the stroke is going to represent the month, and it's going to represent which month with the stroke. So you see 2 strokes under the half moon, you know that that's the second month. You see 3, you know that's the third month. You see 4, you know that's the 4th month. And when you go to the Cairo calendar, you'll be able to break it down and decipher it. When you see this particular flower bed, the K symbol and the T, the bread loaf, and then the Heru at the end, the Ra at the end, you know that this is Arquette. It's the season of Arquette. Be determined by the numbers that they put next to them. If you see there's only 30, so you're even going to see a U, which is like a horseshoe symbol, and you're going to see a stroke next to it. And you'll see 2 U's if it's 20, and you'll see however many strokes for the day. And you'll see 3 when it hits the 30th day. You'll know the different months as we cover from the Abed with the strokes under it. And then you see the flower bed. So this is how you read Arquette. This is how you would know how to read. Let's go to the second one. The second season is Peret. So you have Per, like Per Ankh, which is a structure, a building structure opening. It's the R, which is the mouth, and then the bread loaf again. And then you have Haru. This is how you spell the month of Peret. And in it, there's 4 months again. It's always going to be 4 months. And so we know which month we know it's Ta'abet right here. And this is why I wanted to get the calendar so we could read the names on the side, but that's okay. So the first month here, and it's the season of Peret, which is right next to the month and the stroke. It's next to the Abet and the stroke, and Ra is the day. And then, like I said, you'll see a bunch of strokes for the day that it is. And when you hit 10, you're going to see a horseshoe-like figure. And when you get to that horseshoe-like figure, you're going to know that they're counting by tens. When you see 2 horseshoes, you're going to know it's 20. When you see the 3rd horseshoe, you'll know you're at the end of the month. And then the last one here, you have Shenu or Shemu. You have the sh sound with the top portion, and then you have the Nunu symbol below. Shin, Nun. And then you have the same formula right over it. Here they show some transliterations of translations of the name. And that's how you would know your month. And that's how you would know your system. And that's basically the month. And as we recap this real fast, I'm just going to put a close because I know it's late over there. Seti's room, and then Ramsey's room. So you know where to find the text. You know the Cairo calendar, you know the Carlsberg papyrus, and you know the there's a few other papyruses that have it, and there's a few other calendars spread out around. There's the Cairo one, and there's another one. But when you go to those texts, when you look at this, you look for the Abet, which is the month, which is the half moon. You look for the strokes to see which particular month in that season that it is, right? So you know 1 is the first month. No, you only see 1 stroke is the first. You see 2 strokes, that's the second month. You see 3, the third, and then to the 4th. And then you just need to know how to look for the names. You know Aket is the flower bed with the K and the bread loaf symbol next to it. You know Peret is the house structure, the opening with the mouth underneath and the bread loaf. And you know Shanun is going to be, I believe it's a water bed. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. You see, it's a rectangle. We're going to keep it simple so you guys know. It's a rectangle, and then it's the end, which is water, waves underneath it. And this is how you'll know the months from each other. So the first month, flower bed. Second month, house open structure with the mouth. Shemu, the third structure, you got a rectangle and you have your water waves. And that'll keep it simple in your mind. So you'll know the first from the second from the third month. And then you'll be able to read the number of days by the strokes that they put. And you'll see once they get to 10, it'll have a U shape, like a horseshoe shape. And when you see that shape, you'll know they're counting by tens. And then the strokes they add to it will make it 11, 12, 13. When you see 2 horseshoes, you know they're into their 20s. And you won't go past 3 horseshoes. That'll be the end of the month. That's how you read your calendar. That's how you know what's going on in the calendar. And that's pretty much the gist as far as reading it. When you start to get into the festivals and different stuff like that, and knowing when the festivals happen, because Kemet had 3 different calendars, where they had the civil, the Muhammad work moon. So the months will always be off from and from this year here. And any questions at all?
Is there any questions, family? Please do before we log out. If there is no questions, things cannot be answered. So
if it's clear enough, it should be clear enough.
mhm.
Shout out to my brother Cosmic Thoughts. Reviewing the winners this exactly know about it. I think you did, Melanated Goddess. It happens on the 23rd of your Julian calendar. So when the winter solstice comes, you know, you basically would happen in generally the season of Shemu for us. But on your Julian calendar, it's December 23rd. So if you had a specific question about it, other than I covered about the sisters singing to bring Ausar back, it being day of the year, longer days begin to happen, showing that Ausar coming back, that would be pretty much the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
rewatch, absolutely.
So in total of the days, how many months do they use? All the months of the year of what we have today, or they use less? Can you hear me, sir?
Showed that month. Remember when I showed the months and sent on the it was like the grayish picture I brought up?
Yeah.
We counted the months out right there. So there were 12.
Okay.
Right. And so the 36 sectors that they would break the Necharu into is a whole nother topic. That's when we get into the Dendera temple, and we start to count. As we mentioned, there's Set, who is Sopdet, and there's 18 stars before her and 18 stars after her. And they begin, and her helical rising happens when? Around August-esque, New Year, right around there, right around September, right after. And then boom, we begin.
So in any of the celebrations that we have throughout the year, does it coincide to any of the festivals that they were celebrating back then in Egypt?
Do any of them coincide?
Yeah.
New Year's coincides with like the men festival. Like the men festival for the Necharu men, men is all about fertility. And you know what New Year's is all about: getting tipsy, getting busy, finding a honey, doing your thing. And the men festival was pretty much like that. And the Mexicans have the Day of the Dead, which is almost identical to Kaherka. It's almost identical. The Chinese have that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Also.
Yeah. If there's anything else you need to say, Ausar, is it before we log out? Ausar.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
People dropping in and out.
Uh-oh. Did you hear what I was saying about the men festival?
Yeah, we heard that.
Okay, absolutely. There's for us, because they have so many celebrations, like there's 3 regular celebrations through the month alone. There's more than 3, right? So on the 1st, you have the opening of the month. It's a dinner. The 6th, when the Sin priests go forth, that's a dinner. The 15th is a celebration. That's a dinner. So there's only so much that you can do, you know, as a human being during the day. But you know, it's a whole wild scenario. I think the sister said Easter time. Easter would be Christianity. Yeah, so Christianity is different than what we do. Trying to think what would be in correlation to Easter, except for like Ishtar. Which is absolutely. So yeah, Easter is like Christianity, not something that we do. But respect to the Christians who do watch. the celebration of the calendars has to start to come through us making these things happen. You know, it's time to start celebrations. I People hear about Kaher Ka because I said it on the show. So then everybody researched it. Nobody was talking about that. I've never even heard one of the elders mention that on an old anything. I just happened to that was one that resonated with me because I had a lot of people around me die from being in the streets and also from old age. You miss people that you love, so that was one of my favorites. So I wanted to get that up and going on the 30th day when you lift the SARS, his Djed pillar, etc., etc. So yeah, we can definitely incorporate him. It's time, which is why the brothers brought me on today. It's just impromptu. I didn't have anything up. I just was getting off of work. The best way to incorporate those types of celebrations is to start to do. I'm gonna shout out my sister Haru. She's right now we're working on overthrowing a pep. Right, we're working on that whole ritual. The best thing to do is to start to know the calendar, as we covered here today. Start to be able to know when that date comes, or go on Skywatch and say when is the helical rising of such and such, so you know when it's coming for the year, right? Or something like that. If you're not as in depth, where I watch Regal as it comes up, and then I watch 28 days from that for the other star to come up, and then I know pretty much precisely when it's going to come up. So if you start to implement these calendar dates accordingly, you'll be good to go. Because there was 3 calendars, I'm going to say this. There was 3 calendars. One of them moved throughout the year, and it would be too confusing for people right now. We can incorporate it later. We can incorporate it later. Okay. Yeah. Some festivals that would come in summertime eventually came in wintertime based off that calendar. We can't right now. Too many people don't know. So.
Yep. So now, we will have to leave it for the next episode where we can have
everyone can get some sleep because it's late over there.
Yeah, it's 1:32 here. It's that time. Hope you liked what you got, the information. Please share it, like it, and and keep on subscribing, share, tell people to come and see as much info on Black Eyes TV once again. This is another show. Another show comes again at 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So I'm going to leave something to Ausar to give him the last words before we kick out. Ausar, what have you got to say?
Absolutely. Dua to the chat. Dua to my cosmic thoughts. Good looking now, brother Ronald. Absolutely. Ask as many questions as possible when you get people and information, or if you just try to fast talk me, or if you try to, we're not here for nothing. We got to make sure it's solid, and build a real foundation, and you can move forth in my art. Uncle Astajet, Uncle Josh, and Dua. Remember who you are and be in the Ausar. Take it away, brother Terry. I'll talk all night.
Yeah. As I always say, be black, live black, speak black, move black, buy black, build black.
And that's that.